Hey everybody, this is Dark Side of Lee here, and yes, I have this guy on my on my screen right here. I'm sorry for having him up here, but I want to talk about this. Now, this is a follow up to the Collider news that they're not gone. What they're doing is they're restructuring their format because of they're not getting the views and they're not getting the revenue they needed to keep these shows running, and they let go a lot of the people. Now, the guy that's in charge of all of their stuff, he came out and made some comments. Now, um, and this guy, John Campea, now he was one of the big guys on AMC, and he was one of the guys that actually made Collider News and the movie talk, and helped them structure everything they needed to structure. Now, I'm not taking that away from him. The guy did a really good job with that. He built a very good platform for movie enthusiasts to go and talk about movies. But let's be straight here. And I'm gonna link Clownfish TV. They're good people. They go on rants like I do, and sometimes they lose their coherency when they go into rants, and I can be attributed that to too. I'm very sorry about that, but they made a good point. One, you don't buy the hand that feeds you, and he's right about that. A lot of these guys work their butts off, and they basically try to make this platform very good. Now, I'm going to go into positives, and I will definitely get into the negatives. Two, it was a great place. Collider was a great place for myself. This is how I got myself into understanding about movies and understanding the a critic's mind on how to be partial and impartial, be biased and unbiased, and understanding what how to talk to other people so they understand what the heck is going on in the news, and also be also understandable about making my own opinions, and not bringing my bipartisan into it, and also do bring it in, but keep it reined in so they understand why I feel this way. But here's now let me tell you my opinion of this, but and try to make sure that you understand that I'm not bringing in my bias. Now, with John Campea and Collider, they were great. They had a really great crew on there. They were able to talk, and they did sound very impartial. But let's be real here. Let's be completely real here. They all became shills. They all stated numerous times on their broadcast that they have to play this game so they can get these back behind the stage reviews. Now, as a business, I understand them having to do that. But then do not say that you're an everyday person. Do not say that you are the everyday person, because that's what makes us different. Myself, I don't care. I don't care. Even if I get bigger and I want to make this into something bigger than it is, and I want to get into more of the views, I don't care. I'm willing to pay my money to go see this movie. I'm willing to say, no, this is crap. I'm not putting my money towards it. Okay? Because here's the thing. I'd rather be honest than to be a sellout. And that's what John Campea and the rest of them did throughout the whole reign of the DCEU. They said that a few of them had good opinions about why they didn't like Batman v Superman. A few of them rambled about the same rhetoric. They kept saying the same thing. There was nothing original about what they're talking about. And John Campea, instead of fighting for Zack Snyder's vision, instead of fighting for anything, he basically just sat back and did nothing and let WB completely ruin uh, um, his whole filmmaking process, and also and screw up his whole relative story that he wanted to build. That's where I started getting negative towards John Campea, and also Kristen Harloff, and also a lot of the people on Collider, because they were not telling the truth. You can tell a lot of their demeanor. Clark Wolf, the girl is gorgeous. I'm willing to admit it. The girl is gorgeous. I have a weakness for redheads. I have a weakness for redheads, but you can tell she is not an enthusiast for comic book movies. She's a horror expert, and she went to film schools. Now, that doesn't mean that she knows movies better than anybody else. That doesn't mean anything. That just means that she understands the technical prowess of making a movie. But you can tell she was reading off of a script. You can tell she was fumbling with her words and she didn't know what the heck she was talking about certain things. You can tell. There were times they were reading off of a script. There were times where they were just pandering because they wanted to pander. Perry Nemiroff is one of the biggest shells I've ever seen in my life. Now she can say that, oh, she's just speaking from the heart. She's speaking from her experience in movies. No, you're not. Because from a storytelling principle, Zack Snyder was building a bigger story than what was already there. You cannot say build a story, end it there, and then continue in another movie. No, he was building the foundations in one movie and making the foundations grow in another movie and build the rest of it all in the final set of movies. That's how he was structuring his movies, and no one understood it. Not in the media, not in on Collider. Now, the biggest sell point was John Schnepp. John Schnepp made content. I agreed with a lot of his points, and I firmly disagreed with a good amount of his points. He loved Man of Steel. He loved BVS. No, he loved BVS the ultimate cut. He didn't like the theatrical cut because it felt jumbled. It felt like what the heck is going on. There's certain things they're missing. He could tell there were things were missing, and that's because he was following the story. He was following the story. So that tells you something. I'm sorry. Very, very sorry. So John Schnepp was one of those big figures, especially when it comes to making movies, that a lot of us were like, the guy knows exactly what he's talking about. He's made content. Made a lot of content. He made a movie. He made a documentary. He made TV shows. He's a content creator. He understands the principles of storytelling. And he understood that, wait a minute, something's jumbled here in BVS. BVS felt jumbled, the theatrical cut. He watched the ultra cut, and he was floored at how awesome it was. He was like, wow, this is really, really good. And you're telling me that Jack Star cannot tell a story? You're not a content creator. You're just waiting to the next big bang. That's what you're waiting for. Me, I'm looking for the story. John Campea is just another shill. He is. Now, here's the thing. And Clownfish TV, they made a really, really good point. They have mouths to feed. And I understand that. He has a wife. He has to put a roof over his head. I understand that. I completely understand it. But at least come out and kind of say that's the whole point of why you're doing what you're doing. Don't try to say you're an everyday man. You're not an everyday man. You're not. Because a lot of us are not going to sell out our principles for money. A lot of us are not going to do that. We stick to our principles because that's who we are. And that's the problem that John Campea has brought upon the movie business and a lot of the movie media. Christian Harloff sold off his principles. He became a massive shield for Star Wars, and he had a huge rant about he couldn't go to Galaxy's Edge. So what? Pay a damn ticket and go and see it. So what? You think that you're that much more privileged than the regular person? His whole basis of his whole rise to getting to Collider was he was from Schmoes Know, the everyday guys. The guys that basically are the everyday people. And you think that you should get a backstage pass because you love Star Wars? There are people out there that love Star Wars since the very beginning. They followed everything. Has all the toys, everything. Should they get a free pass? No. So what? Pay your ticket, go down there, shake hands with George Lucas, get your pictures and everything. It will be much more beneficial, and you get your money's worth. But no, he wanted a free ticket. Screw Christian Harloff for that. I know he has a wife and he has kids. And I know he has to put food on the table. But that rant is what sealed the fate of everybody on Christian Harloff and the rest of the Collider. You guys are just in it for the money. Why should we listen to you? Now John Campea on his podcast, he has perfect right to ream into Collider and Complex for what they did. And the guy that spoke out about Collider and what they were doing there. He has right to say it. He built it. I understand that. He has right to say it. And what the guy said, yeah, yeah, you should never have said it. They all got fired right off the bat. You already see Mark Ellis has his own little podcast. Roxy Stryer has now a podcast. A lot of these guys can do the overhead themselves. They got the backstage money to actually, in all honesty, create their own little production. John Campea did it. They have all his metrics right there on Clownfish TV. They talk about his metrics. The guy alone is making a good amount of money, just doing it himself in his house. So Mark Ellis is doing the same thing. Foxy Stryer is doing the same thing. Jeremy Johns is back to what he was doing. I might start listening to him again. A lot of people that were originally on Collider who are gone, they're all back to doing what they were doing best. And they're doing perfectly fine. So the main thing that they're going to do is they're not going to go back to making huge amount of sit down talk shows and stuff like that. They're not going to do that anymore. They're going to keep it intimate. They're going to keep it massively intimate. Where they're going to have one person, maybe one or two people, and they're going to keep it very low budget to keep the overhead down. And that's why I have a feeling that's why they closed Collider. Now, if you go to Film Gob, he reamed into these people because they were shills. He did attacks on attacks on attacks, and they kept giving him freaking publicity instead of ignoring him and moving on with their merry day. They were fighting against a guy who has nowhere near the amount of views, nowhere near the amount of subscribers, and they're fighting this guy. They keep talking about him. They're giving him free press. Why? Don't talk about him. Ignore him. He's going to do his thing. You do your thing. That's why thumbs downs and everything else, the people who make negative comments, move on. Who the heck cares? I do this for fun. I do this to give you guys my opinion. I don't want to make money off of this because that means that I have to actually give you a better product. I can keep it just simple, keep my face on a webcam. I want to get a better webcam, not just because I want to do better stuff for you guys, but I actually want to make it look a little bit better. But that's going to come out of my pocket. I don't want to make money on YouTube because I have to follow their standards. I'm doing the minimal amount so they don't have to block my stuff and leave my stuff alone. As long as I say that, hey, there's explicit language, it's not for kids, that's perfectly fine. As long as as long as I comply with COPPA, I'm good. They'll leave me alone. You guys will be able to get to my all my stuff. But this is all about Collider. They completely shilled out, and they're supposed to be for the everyday people who don't know much about these movies. All they do is supposed to give a non-biased opinion. They have given their opinions, and it sucks. John Roca, that's his name. John Roca, the cowboy John Roca. This guy went on with Perry Nemiroff talking about Aquaman. Now, again, despite how you feel about it, that's perfectly fine. He said it was stupid of them having an octopus playing the drums. He thought it was stupid. It felt weird. It felt forced. Okay, but you're gonna applaud Ant-Man when they had the same thing, a gigantic ant sitting in the room, and he's playing the drums too, and he's sitting there going, "Oh, that's an awesome thing." That's shilling. That is shilling to the max, and people called him out on it. They said, "What the hell are you talking about? How are you going to talk about an octopus when they were basically just show the octopus and he moved on?" So you know where the music was coming from. So you're like, "Oh, there's an octopus playing down there. Okay, move on." Kids could have thought that was pretty cool. Adults can move on with it. It's perfectly fine. No opinion about it. But he had to make that a point, like, oh, that was stupid. And this, really? What did you think of Jason Momoa's acting? What did you think of the story? What did you think of the rivalry between both Orm and Aquaman, or Aquaman versus Black Manta? What did you think about this stuff? He didn't talk about any of this, and that's called shilling. He was shilling for freaking Marvel so they can give him more tickets, so he doesn't have to pay any money, and he can sit there and smile and think that, oh, he's better than all of us. No, you're not. I'll pay my ticket like anybody else. And that's what they should do. You guys are getting so much money from all this other content. Why can't you just pay your simple $15, or hell, go get the ultimate movie passes? You guys can see as many movies you want. Make those guys your sponsor, and they'll give you a pass to let you go see as many movies as you wish. You get to see it for free. So why would I want to go to a red carpet? Who cares? And occasionally go to a red carpet. Who, honestly, you're mixing with the stars, and it leaves you so out of touch. When you're talking about you're the common person, but you're moving yourself away from the common person. If John Roca or Perry Nemiroff or Christian Harloff or John Campea or John Schnepp or Mark Ellis or any one of those guys walked into a regular movie theater, sat down, and people were like, oh, hey, look, it's one of those guys, they're going to be much more appreciative of that. Like, no, I saw him in there. No, he was watching a movie with the rest of us. He was having fun and everything else. I was able to talk to him, and he was perfectly fine with it. That's how you get more fans. When you go down and talk to the everyday person. They don't do that. Not to my knowledge. But they're trying to shill out to get themselves some press reviews. I understand. In a business standpoint, they want to try to get that so they can get more money. That's fine. I am not against that. But don't sell out your principles and say that, oh, I'm just being a person that I'm just speaking my mind. No, you're not. You're speaking with your dollar bills in your back pockets. Don't be honest and be authentic. And everybody can see through authenticity. And that's where, John Campea has his fans. It's perfectly fine. He has his fans. He has his people that want to watch his stuff. That is fine. That is perfectly fine. The man knows how to make a product. But the rest of them, they went down a weird dark path, and everybody started calling him out on it. People are calling out John Campea. I'll call out John Campea. He's a shill. He is a shill. He will never give movies a fair shake. Because the type of movies he likes is more family oriented. He loves Pixar. He loves DreamWorks. He loves anything that's Disney and Star Wars. But when it comes to comic book movies, he's on the fence. But if it's made by Disney, he is all in. He can say that, oh, I love WB stuff. No, you don't. Because you're not very critical. You're not very critical. And that's the problem. That is the biggest problem with what's going on in media today. Again, a lot of people want to go onto YouTube, and because YouTube is this big platform, people can get their voices out there. Eventually, another platform is going to be made, and a lot of people are going to go over to that platform. And YouTube's going to fall away. Because YouTube is putting up so many roadblocks for people to actually get content out that eventually someone's going to create another platform where they're going to go, dude, just do whatever you want, but just make sure it follows these regulations. But we're not going to regulate you. Say, you got your First Amendment right. Speak however you wish. It's perfectly fine. But latch on like, hey, adult, kids, boom. Don't make it for everybody. Just say adult or kids. So then content will go where it needs to go. You're going to start seeing that eventually. YouTube is doing that, but they're forcing people to do stuff like that. They're changing everything around so they can actually silence certain people. They're talking about people are starting to lose subscribers because of certain things like this. And it's weird. Now, I'm glad I got the subscribers I got, and so does Hawk. Now, Hawk is still dealing with his things, and I don't want to bring his personal stuff into this, but I'll try to get in touch with him as soon as I can and see if he's settled. Once he's settled, we're gonna try to get everything back up again and get back to our podcasts. He misses talking to us on our podcasts, but the man has a lot of personal stuff that he has to take care of, and we're gonna keep it that way. Let him do his thing, get himself situated, and then this is not going anywhere. Hopefully. But this is not for us to make a lot of money on. This is just us just doing our thing, like a Cisco and Ebert. And it's fine. And if you're going to try to make a business out of it, be honest with your people. Be honest. Like, hey, I'm in this to make money. They have merch and all this other stuff. That's perfectly fine. I can move on. I don't want a person that's begging money from me. Go get a real job. That's how I feel. I have a 40-hour week job. I do this for fun. I make real money. I don't want someone to give me your money. I'm not gonna beg you guys to buy a shirt or anything like that and go get sponsors. No, thank you. I love my job and I want to be successful at it. But if you guys want to be successful at making a YouTube, great, do it. But be honest with your audience. Be honest with them. John Campea is not honest. He's not. He's a shill. Listen to what he says. He backpedals too much. He also backpedals too much. He also contradicts what he says, and he basically, in a way, he says one thing, but then he two-faces it and says something a little bit different. There were plenty of times he says Man of Steel was a masterpiece. And then he goes back and says, "Oh yeah, I like Man of Steel, or I love Man of Steel." But he doesn't go back and say, "No, it's a masterpiece." Why is it a masterpiece? I say it's a masterpiece of storytelling. The visuals are beautiful. There's some technical issues that I on, and that's perfectly fine. But the story is great. It makes sense. But that's here or there. And that's the problem. That is the biggest problem. There's a disattachment between YouTube media people and the regular common audience. And eventually it's going to get to a point where everybody's going to listen to these guys, and basically they're going to tell them, "Oh, you need to go do this." And they're going to go, "Oh, okay." Instead of making your own informed decisions. He doesn't tell you, he barely tells you either go see the movie or don't go see the movie. You barely get that from him. Barely. You barely get that from other people on the YouTubes. Barely. Now again, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? Show me something, change my mind, and I will talk about the Batman screen, a lot of the set photos. I'm not gonna cover very much. I personally don't care until I see a trailer. I honestly don't care. Batman's one of my favorite heroes, but I want to see a trailer. He is one of my favorite heroes, but I want to see a trailer first. Set photos don't mean jack squat to me. Set photos can change. And also, set photos just means that, oh, that's on the set for right now, but that doesn't mean it's going to be in the final product. Doesn't mean anything. We got a lot of confirmations, and that's cool. So I'll talk about that in another video when I can. But you guys, thanks for joining me. Like, comment, share, subscribe down below. Hit the bell. Tell me what you guys think. If you guys follow John Campea, why? What? Tell me why you guys still follow this guy, even though a lot of people are saying he's a shill. Now, I have no pure hatred towards the guy. I dislike what he says, but that's just the natural course of things. But I also say that he is a shill. You guys can say, "Oh, I'm a shill for DC stuff. I don't do anything on Marvel." Well, that's mainly because nothing Marvel is doing is exciting me. So why would I want to talk about it? I want to talk about the Snyder Cut. I want to talk about Batman. I want to talk about what's going on in comics. I want to talk about things that I know that, hey, you know what? I like to talk about this stuff. Well, I'm not going to cover everything. There's too many. There's short days of the short hours in the day, and I only got a certain amount of days off in the week, and I got personal stuff to take care of. Again, I'm not going to make this a business. I just want to come on, do a video, maybe one or two videos, and move on. I got more things to do. Okay, it's nothing against you. It's just more the fact is I got a 4 hour job and I love my job. So, like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe down below, hit the bell. I'll try to get another video out. And again, tell me below, why do you guys follow John Campea and what do you guys think of him? And please, please, please be civil about it. I don't want to cause flame wars on here because, in all honesty, everyone's got their own personal opinion. But also, the thing is, we got to be civil about it. The guy, someone like John Campea, thrives on negative press. He wants negative press because that gets people to want to go watch his stuff. Okay? He knows this. So why give him the views? Just tell me why do you dislike him and why do you like him? Be civil about it. Don't try to start arguments, okay? You guys have a great one and may the shilling be with you. Bye.